Recovering from surgery, I got a message from my sister. You're free anyway. Keep my 2 kids for a week while I go to Dubai. I said nothing. I decided to give her a homecoming she'd never forget. When she walked through her door, her face went white. I'm Grace. I have 2 kids of my own, a full-time job, and very little patience left for nonsense. My sister, Melanie, is 4 years younger than me and lives like she's some influencer on a reality show. She doesn't work. She travels. She's been to Tulum, Mykonos, the Maldives, and now she's in Dubai. That's just in the last 6 months. Her passport probably has more stamps than a UPS warehouse. Meanwhile, I'm here in Missouri juggling a 4th grader, a toddler, and for the past several weeks her 2 kids, Ellie and Jonah. Ellie is 10, Jonah is 7. Sweet kids. Way too quiet for their age, and I've noticed they flinch a little when someone raises their voice. That part stings more than I like to admit. Melanie dropped them off 3 months ago. Said she needed a mental break. Told me she was going to reset at a wellness retreat for 2 weeks. I agreed because she sounded desperate, and I figured, hey, I've babysat them before. A couple weeks won't kill me. That was 11 weeks ago. She hasn't come back. She didn't even ask if she could extend the stay. She just kept texting vague excuses. Then came the Instagram stories. First a spa in Istanbul, then beach clubs in Ibiza, and now camel rides in Dubai. I wouldn't even know where she was if it wasn't for social media. I started screenshotting everything after week 4. What really pushed me over the edge wasn't even the constant childcare, though that was exhausting enough. It was the way she talked about it. She'd send these breezy texts. So glad they're in good hands, sis. And you're the best auntie ever. With heart emojis like she just Venmo'd me $5, not handed me 2 entire lives to manage. She tells people I love having the kids. I love my niece and nephew, but I didn't sign up to raise them. There's a difference between helping family and being completely taken advantage of. And then there's Ryan. Her ex-husband. He and Melanie split 3 years ago, and ever since he's been in this weird limbo where he wants to be involved in the kids' lives but can't. Melanie made sure of that. She told the court he was unstable and manipulative, and she cried in front of the judge. Got primary custody. He gets them 1 weekend a month, if that. But he texts me. All the time. Asks how they're doing, if they're eating well, if Ellie's asthma is under control. He's bought them new shoes, a tablet for school, even paid for Jonah's braces when Melanie forgot the appointment. Not rescheduled. Forgot. I used to brush him off. I didn't want to get caught in the middle. But one night Jonah got a nosebleed and cried for his dad. I called Ryan, panicking. He showed up in 15 minutes with Gatorade, cotton balls, and Jonah's favorite dinosaur book. He didn't even blink. That night I realized something that felt ugly to admit. Melanie doesn't deserve these kids. She loves the idea of being a mom, not the actual job. And I've been protecting her because she's my sister. Even though it's the kids who've been paying the price. So I started talking to Ryan. Actually talking. I told him everything. The lies, the random drop-offs, the weeks of silence. I showed him screenshots. He listened, then just nodded and said, "We need to fix this before she comes back." That's when we got serious. Ryan called his lawyer. I dug up every message Melanie sent me asking for help. Every time she left the country without mentioning it. Every picture of her at nightclubs while I helped Ellie with her math homework. We even started documenting things with the kids. School reports, missed appointments, Ellie's growing anxiety, Jonah's therapist bills that Ryan's been quietly paying out of pocket. And the kids? They're with Ryan now. I told Melanie they were going to stay with their dad for a weekend. That was 2 weekends ago. He never questioned it. She's too busy riding dune buggies and hooking up with some guy named Emre. She's flying back next Thursday. She has no idea that Ryan and I already filed an emergency petition. She doesn't know the school has been notified. She doesn't know Child Services is already reviewing the timeline. She's coming back to a home that isn't hers anymore. And I'll be here for it. Melanie landed on a Thursday morning. She texted me from the airport like nothing had happened. Just a casual, "Hey, I'm back. Can't wait to see my babies," followed by some palm tree and heart emojis. No mention of how long she'd been gone, no checking if she was even still welcome here. She just assumed I'd kept things running like her unpaid nanny, because that's what I'd been doing for months. I didn't reply right away. I forwarded the message to Ryan and just waited. He was calm about it. Too calm, honestly. He just said, "Let's see what she does first." The court petition had been filed 4 days earlier. Ryan's lawyer made sure everything was timed perfectly. And since the kids were already with him, there was no sudden handoff to trigger suspicion. Melanie showed up at my house that afternoon, dragging 2 huge pink suitcases and wearing some designer hoodie that probably cost more than my rent. She rang the bell like she lived there. When I opened the door, she tried to hug me. I stepped back and asked her where she thought the kids were. She blinked, confused, then smiled like I was being dramatic. You said they were with Ryan for the weekend, right? I figured I'd pick them up now. That's when I told her. They weren't coming back. She laughed. Actually laughed. Thought I was joking. It took a full 30 seconds for her to realize I wasn't playing around. I told her Ryan had filed for emergency custody. I told her the court had been notified. I told her I wasn't going to keep covering for her anymore. She lost it. Started yelling. Accused me of betrayal, said I was jealous of her life, said I was manipulating the situation to make her look bad. I didn't argue. I let her talk. She stood there on my porch screaming into the quiet street while I stared back at her, holding a folder full of receipts. I gave her the contact info for Ryan's lawyer and told her to stop showing up at my house. 2 days later, she tried to show up at Ryan's place. He didn't let her in. She called the cops, claimed he had kidnapped her children. They asked to see the court documents. Ryan had them ready. The officer didn't even blink. Told her to take it up with family court and left. After that, she went quiet for a bit. Then came the social media meltdown. She posted this long dramatic story on Instagram, all in black text on a white background, about being a single mother fighting a system built against her, and how family should never turn on family. I knew exactly who that last part was aimed at. But the comments didn't go how she expected. A few people defended her, sure. But a lot of others started asking questions. Like why she hadn't posted her kids in months. Why she was always traveling alone. Why her sister, me, was the one taking Ellie to gymnastics and Jonah to his therapy appointments. Then someone dug up an old post of hers from 3 weeks ago. A champagne glass, a yacht, the caption, "Don't wait for your life to start. Take the trip, kiss the stranger, drink the wine." It did not pair well with the sob story she was trying to push. Meanwhile, Ryan had already gotten temporary custody. The judge granted it based on Melanie's extended absence and demonstrated pattern of negligence. That's legal speak for, you left your kids for 3 months without a plan. I thought maybe she'd calm down. Take a breath. Try to work something out like an adult. But no. He started calling my mom. Telling her I'd stolen her family. My mom, who has never liked confrontation, called me sobbing asking what the hell was going on. So I told her everything. The trips. The dates. The time Melanie went to a spiritual festival in Costa Rica and forgot Ellie's birthday. The time Jonah got food poisoning and I couldn't reach her for 36 hours. For once, my mom didn't defend her. I think that's when I knew things were actually going to change. Melanie was spiraling. She tried to file a motion to get the kids back immediately, but the court denied it. Not until a full hearing. And that hearing was coming fast. The hearing was scheduled for a Monday morning. Early. Ryan and I met outside the courthouse a half hour before. He looked nervous but focused, holding a binder so thick it looked like a college thesis. His lawyer was already waiting for us, sitting on a bench reviewing notes like it was just another Monday. She didn't smile much, but I liked that about her. Melanie was going to walk in with lip gloss and excuses. We needed facts. The kids weren't there. We didn't want them anywhere near this. The courtroom itself wasn't anything special. Beige walls, creaky benches, a coffee machine in the hallway that no one trusted. But it felt heavier than any courtroom I'd ever been in. Everything that had been boiling quietly for years was about to spill out right here. Melanie arrived late. Not dramatically late, just enough to remind everyone that time works differently for her. She walked in wearing oversized sunglasses, high heels that clicked too loud, and a dress that screamed expensive but inappropriate. You'd think she was attending a fundraiser, not fighting for custody of her children. She didn't bring a lawyer. She claimed she didn't need one, and that truth speaks for itself. That gave Ryan's lawyer an immediate advantage. I don't even think Melanie realized how serious things were until she sat down and heard her own name followed by, "Petitioner. Father is requesting emergency custody based on abandonment and neglect." The judge didn't smile. Not once. Ryan's lawyer was brutal in the most professional way. She laid everything out like a timeline. Melanie's trips, exact dates. The day she dropped the kids off. Every message she sent me after that. Every Instagram story, every geotagged photo. There were charts. Actual printed charts showing her travel versus time spent with the kids. Then came the kicker. A letter from Ellie's school, noting how Aunt Grace had been listed as primary emergency contact for nearly a year. And Jonah's therapy notes. He told his counselor he wished his real house was with Daddy and Auntie Grace because Mommy doesn't come back. Melanie tried to interrupt. Twice. Claimed we were twisting things. Claimed I was lying because I always wanted to be her. The judge told her to stop. That everything she said was being recorded. That seemed to shake her a little. Then Melanie said the one thing I was hoping she wouldn't. She accused Ryan of turning the kids against her. Of manipulating them. Of using me to build a fake case. But she didn't bring anything with her. No records. No witnesses. No screenshots. Just drama and a lot of eye-rolling. Ryan's lawyer didn't even need to respond to that. She just handed the judge a printed quote from Melanie's own Instagram. A caption from her Dubai trip. Still not ready to go home. Freedom feels too good. It was posted 2 days after Jonah had a fever and I couldn't reach her for a full day. The judge looked at that for a long time. No one said anything. Then came the final piece. Ryan had reached out to the kid's school counselor, and with parental permission she submitted a written report. Jonah had drawn a picture of Ryan, me, Ellie and himself in a house, under a banner that said, "Lie safe home." When asked where his mom was, he told the counselor, "She's in the airplane." Melanie didn't say a word after that. The judge ruled on the spot. Temporary full custody to Ryan, supervised visitation only for Melanie, twice a week, 1 hour each at a neutral facility. Parenting classes required. No travel allowed without court permission. When we walked out of the courthouse, Melanie didn't look at me. She walked right past Ryan, right past the doors and out to the parking lot like none of it had happened. No tears. No apology. Just silence. Later that day she posted one of those passive-aggressive quotes on her Instagram story. Something about betrayal, how people will use your love and turn it into a weapon. Nobody replied. Not even her usual circle. Ellie asked if she really had to go to the visit. Not because she was scared, she just didn't want to. That said more than anything we'd said in court. We still had the final hearing ahead. But Melanie wasn't on top anymore. And she knew it. For 2 full weeks after the court hearing, Melanie vanished. No calls, no visits, no shows at the supervised center. The court order had granted her 2 one-hour visits per week. She didn't make a single one. Ryan documented everything. Every missed appointment. Every message she didn't respond to. It was almost too quiet. Like the eye of a storm. And then late on a Tuesday night he got the text. "I'm coming to get them. Be ready." No emojis. No explanation. Just that. It didn't sound like a joke and it definitely didn't sound like a bluff. He didn't reply. Just forwarded it to his lawyer, who filed an emergency alert with the court first thing the next morning. I called the school. Let the principal know the kids weren't to be released to anyone but Ryan or me. They were cooperative. I had the emails to prove it. That Friday night I was at Ryan's house helping with dinner. The kids were watching a movie in the living room. I remember because they were arguing about popcorn flavors and Jonah kept mixing caramel with cheese. We were halfway through the cleanup when headlights flashed across the front window. Except they turned off just as fast. A car had pulled up. No sound. No engine running. Just sitting there, dark. Ryan peeked through the blinds. Then turned to me. "It's her." Melanie stepped out a moment later. She was still in heels, still dressed like she was going to a party even though it was past 9. She walked up to the porch like she had every right to be there, holding her phone in one hand, her car keys in the other. She didn't knock. She didn't ring the bell. She just stood there and shouted, "I'm taking them home. You don't get to keep what's mine." Ryan didn't open the door. I told him not to. We let her yell. She screamed for about 2 full minutes. Accusations, threats, random insults, until a neighbor walked out and asked if everything was okay. Melanie turned her rage on him, which was a mistake, because he'd been watching Ryan's kids walk to school with me every morning for months. He pulled out his phone and started filming. Then Melanie walked up and tried to open the front door. That's when the police arrived. Neither of us had called them. Turns out someone 3 houses down had. They'd heard a woman yelling about taking her kids by force, and decided that was worth reporting. The officer was calm, professional. He asked for IDs, asked what was going on. Ryan handed over a copy of the court order without a word. Melanie didn't have anything. She told the officer it was all a misunderstanding. That she was the real parent, and she had every right to take her children home. Then she said the part that really sealed it. "They're not even his kids anymore. My sister's turning them against me." The officer paused, reread the court document, and asked if she was trying to take the children without legal custody. Melanie said yes. She didn't even realize what she'd admitted to until it was too late. The officer told her she could leave now, or be escorted. She chose to leave. But not before throwing one last line at me. "This isn't over. You think this makes you a mother? You're not their mom. You'll never be." She didn't know how wrong she was about that. Just as she got into her car, a second vehicle pulled up behind hers. Black Honda. Tiny. Out stepped a guy I didn't recognize, but Melanie did. She froze. He was tall, looked like he worked in finance, and had that polished look. Expensive watch, clean haircut, tailored shirt. He looked around at the police car, Melanie, the neighbors standing in their driveways, and then at me. This was Emre. She'd mentioned his name in passing weeks ago. Said he was from Istanbul. Said he was different. I thought he was just another fling. Apparently she had told him a story, a wild one. She'd said Ryan had died years ago, that she was a struggling single mother, raising 2 beautiful children on her own, that her toxic family abandoned her, that she was working on a memoir and healing in Dubai. Emre had believed it, until he started getting emails from someone anonymous, with screenshots, photos, a link to one of Melanie's parenting class mandates. She had no idea. Emre had flown to the States to confront her, not to help, not to fight for her, to leave her. The moment he saw the cop car and Ryan standing on the porch, the story clicked into place. He didn't speak to Melanie, just turned, got back into his car and drove off. She chased after him, calling his name. He didn't stop. The police officer asked if we wanted to press charges for attempted interference with custody. Ryan declined. He didn't need revenge. He already had the kids. That night Melanie didn't go home. She drove to her mother's house, not mine, not our shared one, her biological mother. They hadn't spoken in 3 years. I only found out later because she told her that she wanted to surrender custody, that she was done fighting. Not because she had an epiphany, not because she suddenly cared, but because there was nothing left to fight with. When Melanie's lawyer filed the paperwork officially surrendering custody, it barely made a sound. No final showdown. No courtroom dramatics. No apology. Just a dry PDF from the county court that said in legal terms what we already knew: Ryan had full legal and physical custody of Ellie and Jonah. Effective immediately. No appeal filed. It should have felt like a victory. And in some ways it did. Ryan finally got what he'd spent 3 years fighting for. The kids didn't have to bounce between 2 worlds anymore. The chaos was gone. The lies were over. But it wasn't clean. Nothing with Melanie ever was. The day the papers cleared, she sent me one text. Short. Emotionless. Tell them I tried. That was it. Not I love them. Not I'm sorry. Just some vague plea to rewrite history. I showed it to Ryan, who read it once and put his phone down without saying a word. Ellie saw it later over my shoulder and just asked, why would she say that? I didn't have an answer. There wasn't one that would make sense to a 10-year-old. After that, Melanie vanished from all of us. Her number stopped working a week later. Her Instagram went private. Friends stopped asking about her, and some of them even apologized to me. One messaged me and said, I didn't know it was that bad. I thought she just needed a break. I thought that too once. But then something happened that changed how I saw the whole thing. I ran into one of Melanie's old friends, Marcy, at a Target of all places. I hadn't seen her in ages. We chatted, awkward at first, until she said, hey, I heard about everything. Didn't think she'd actually follow through with it. I asked, follow through with what? Marcy looked confused, like I should already know. She told me months ago she was gonna leave. Said she was done being a mom. Wanted a fresh start, new country, new men, new everything. Said she was gonna drop the kids off with you because you'd never say no. She laughed about it, actually. She laughed about it. Marcy kept talking, but I wasn't really listening. I just stood there holding a box of laundry pods, staring into a crack I didn't know had existed until it split wide open. Melanie didn't lose the kids because things got out of hand. She didn't collapse under pressure. He planned it. She chose this. And she used me to make it happen. All those texts about needing a break, figuring things out, finding herself, they weren't cries for help. They were setup lines. I wasn't a temporary solution. I was the exit strategy. And the worst part? He was right. I didn't say no. Because I loved Ellie and Jonah. Because I couldn't watch them be tossed around like luggage. Because even after everything Melanie had done, a part of me kept hoping she'd come back different. But she didn't. She left just like she said she would. A few weeks later, Ryan and the kids moved into a new place. It wasn't far, maybe 15 minutes away, but it felt like a new chapter. The kind that doesn't have her name in it. Ellie picked out purple curtains and hung up fairy lights. Jonah lined up his dinosaur figurines on the windowsill in the exact order he had them at my place. Ryan asked me to come over for dinner one Friday night. He made spaghetti and garlic bread, and when we were cleaning up, he said there was someone he wanted me to meet. Her name was Dana. She was a nurse. Quiet, easy to talk to, didn't try too hard. Ellie had made her a beaded bracelet. Jonah gave her his extra soccer pin, in case she ever wanted to coach. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't too soon. It just felt like something normal for once. Later that night, after the kids had gone to bed and I was walking out to my car, Ryan caught up with me on the porch. She's not coming back, is she? I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. He nodded like that was the answer he'd hoped for. And then he said, you saved them, Grace. You know that, right? I didn't respond to that either. Because I hadn't saved them. I'd just been there when she decided to leave. It's been 8.5 months since Melanie gave up custody. I still check the dates sometimes. Not because I'm counting. Just because there's a part of me that still doesn't believe it happened the way it did. After everything, the yelling, the Instagram drama, the fake tears, she just vanished. No court fight, no appeal, no last-ditch performance. She folded like a house of cards and disappeared into the same silence she used to escape responsibility in the first place. But life didn't stop for her absence. Better. Ryan moved the kids into a new house in July. Not a big one, but warm, clean, and theirs. First thing they did was pick paint colors. Ellie went with lavender. Jonah picked a color called dinosaur leaf, which just looked like green, but nobody argued. Their bedrooms are filled with drawings and books and little reminders that this is home now. Not my place, not some temporary holdover. Their real home. Ryan put up a swing in the backyard. Dana helped him. He's not just around anymore. She lives there now. I met her months back, but it wasn't until I saw her help Jonah bandage a scraped knee without making a big deal out of it that I realized she belonged. She doesn't try too hard. Doesn't overstep. She shows up for every soccer game, every school play, every teacher conference. She remembers their quirks and their allergies and the way Ellie needs 5 minutes to herself when she gets overwhelmed. And the kids? They adore her. They don't call her mom. They don't have to. They just know she stays. They know she doesn't leave. Melanie, on the other hand, has become a ghost. No calls. No letters. No birthdays. Nothing. Her social media has been inactive for months. Still locked behind privacy settings, still showing the same old photos from yachts and infinity pools like she pressed pause on the fantasy and never hit play again. Sometimes I wonder where she is, but I never wonder what she's doing. Because I know. She's doing what she always did. Chasing something to distract her from the things she left behind. Ellie asked about her once. Just once. It was late, she couldn't sleep, and she asked if her mom was ever coming back. I told her the truth, that I didn't know. But even if she did, it wouldn't change the fact that she was safe now. That she was wanted. That she was home. Ellie didn't cry. She just nodded and asked if we could get pancakes the next morning. Jonah hasn't mentioned her in months. Not even in passing. I think kids sense more than we give them credit for. They know who's really there for them. Who stays when it's hard. Who puts them first without needing applause for it. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. If I resent how much I gave up, how long I put my own life on hold for someone else's children. And the answer is no. Not even a little. Because every time I see Ellie come out of school and run straight to Ryan with a huge grin, or watch Jonah get into the car after soccer practice asking if we can stop for fries, I remember why I did it. Why I said yes that day Melanie dropped them off with a suitcase and a lie. It was never about Melanie. It was about them. And they're okay now. Better than okay. They laugh more. They sleep better. They have real friends, real schedules, real consistency. And most of all, they have 2 people who show up. 3 actually, if I count myself. And I do. Last week, Jonah handed me a drawing he made at school. It was a house with 4 stick figures in front. Him, Ellie, Ryan, and Dana. Then there was me. I was on the porch holding a tray of cookies. He labeled it Auntie Grace's cookies, the good kind. He didn't draw Melanie. He didn't ask where she was. And I didn't bring her up. Some people don't come back. And the ones who do, they don't always deserve to.